We do smoked meats, specialize in like sort of Texas style barbecue, brisket, pulled pork, turkey all the time. We got ribs going, smoked lamb,
burgers.
We grind burgers in house, smoke those bad boys. Render all of our beef fat down to do some beef fat French fries. They're very popular. Things are changing all the time here. We've got lamb going today. Yeah, pork belly. We make all the sides in house. I could go on forever. Smoking birds, come get some barbecue.
Eighth decade. The 8th decade that races have happened on Gull Lake Park. As far as I know, I can record it back to the 1940s when we ran the Canada One Design inboards on this body of water. We also have had outboards, V8 flat bottom boats, tunnel boats, and today you're going to see modified and stock outboards and runabouts. This is going to be quite a day of racing, and as I said, it's the 8th decade. We are the longest running race course, as far as I know, certainly in Canada and maybe North America. So this is a history that we don't want to lose. I'm going to welcome to the stage in a minute Andre Dupre, but first of all, before I would do anything, I want to acknowledge these young kids who've been up and down the shore here, picking up debris, sticks, garbage from the water. This is one of our leaders in the world, because they are saying we have to leave this place in better shape than we found it. So we encourage you all. There are garbage receptacles everywhere. Please, no debris on the ground. Nothing ever goes in the water except race boats. And we today will thank you for that. And it's wonderful to have these young kids out there doing the cleaning for us. So thank you. And if you see these young kids, give them a pat on the back, because this is great stuff. Today's races are brought to you by the Toronto Outboard Racing Club, under the auspices of the Canadian Boating Federation, which operate under letters patent issued by the Canadian government. The Canadian Boating Federation is Canada's national boating authority. We are responsible not just for making certain that racing is done in a safe and responsible way, but that we are also involved in making certain that general pleasure boating is appropriately handled, educated, and we make certain that people have a great time on the water, which is what we want to do here today. We're very fortunate, as I said, to have the Toronto Outboard Racing Club as our sanctioning club for today's races. I want to acknowledge right now the Hunter family, Will Hunter, Jim Hunter, Nancy Hunter, here from Gravenhurst. They just live up the road. They told me this is their 15th year of organizing these races. And Will Hunter confided that when he first started here, he was just a young guy running around in cut-off running shorts, and now he's a dad of his own, and he'll be racing here today as well. So Will Hunter will be in the water, Jim Hunter and Nancy Hunter's mom and dad, and we want to thank them. We want to thank our sponsors for today's event. Without the sponsorship, we wouldn't be here. We acknowledge the support of the town of Gravenhurst for their enthusiasm and understanding that this is a key and critical and important part of Gravenhurst history. It doesn't take too much head scratching to figure out when you have, as we did last night, over 90 people at the Canadian Raceboat Hall of Fame barbecue, that each of those people brings with them a pocket full of money, and they are investing it in Gravenhurst, in restaurants, in hotel rooms, in souvenir shops, and we want to thank the town of Gravenhurst for having the wisdom to recognize that bringing in boat racing is good for the community. And one thing I can guarantee you is each and every racing team will do its level best to make certain that when we leave on Sunday night, Gull Lake Park is in better condition than we found it. And we thank you for your help in doing so. My name is Harry Wilson. I am going to be your announcer today. I'll be here on the platform here of the bandshell a couple of times during the day. I will disappear, but my voice will not. That's because I'll be on the backside of the bandshell calling the races live as we see them. And in a minute or two, I'm going to bring in Andre Dupre from Bonsai Productions. We are being streamed live today. And on Bonsai Production has a team of 4 guys here today, and we thank them for their being here. This is a wonderful, wonderful support. And we hope that everybody is going to have a great time. And I know the drivers are going to put on one heck of a race. Just a little bit about the racing today. You are going to see stock and modified outboards. We are a family sport, and I mean that quite literally, because today we'll be featuring, in addition to the big boys and the big girls boat races, we'll be talking about and featuring the junior stock hydroplane classes. The junior stocks are driven by kids who are from age 9 to 14. They run OMC and Mercury engines. They are stock engines. They are the typical 15 horsepower that you see going out fishing on a Saturday morning. But they are equipped with a race lower unit or race propeller. And in the J Junior Stock Hydroplane class, they have what we call restrictor plates in front of the carburetor, between the carburetor and the intake, the crankcase. And the function of the restrictor plate is to reduce the amount of fuel going through to the engine so that the junior kids can learn how to run a race boat under as safe conditions as we can generate. The junior stock hydroplanes, however, don't feel sorry for them. When those kids are out in the water, they are fiercely competitive, and those boats, junior stock hydroplane, will still run upwards of 45 miles an hour. And for a kid whose face is about 8 inches off the water, 45 miles an hour feels like 450. So we'll look forward to the J Junior Stock Hydroplane class. This is where the kids get started in boat racing. This is where Canada's national champions will materialize. This is where they get their feet wet. I want to acknowledge the fact of the importance of Muskoka, and particularly Gravenhurst, as being the center point of racing in Canada. Not many people know that back in the 1950s, Canada was the dominant force in world powerboat racing. We were better than the United States. We were above and ahead of England. We were ahead of Europe. We were the force to be beaten. And that is particularly because of a series of boats called the Rainbow boats, and then the Miss Canadas, and then finally the Miss Super Tests. These were boats that were built in Muskoka by Gravettes, particularly, but also by Ditchburn. They are extraordinary pieces of the boat work, and we still have those boats here with us today. In fact, if you were to go to the Canadian Raceboat Hall of Fame, which is up on Muskoka Road 118, just 3 minutes due west of Bracebridge, you will see Little Miss Canada 2, the original 225 class, Little Miss Canada 2, built in 1932, is on the show floor, and it is in perfect condition. Beside her is the first boat that won a Canadian World Championship in any sport, any power sport, and that is Little Miss Canada 4, winner of the 1935 World 225 Championships held at the Canadian National Exhibition. You will also see Rainbow 4, an extraordinary boat there, 33 feet long, that set a world record in 1925 that is still unbeaten. And that is a distance traveled over 24 hours. Rainbow 4, owned by Rolf Gerling, and Rainbow 3, her predecessor, consecutive years set world records in long distance. And Rainbow 4's record set in 1925 still holds at over 1,025 nautical miles in 24 hours. You think of that. That was 100 years ago today. And that is a remarkable thing. That boat is still with us. You will also see, when you go to the Raceboat Hall of Fame, a collection of other great boats. A boat by the name of Shadow 2, built by Manette Shields. It was a boat that went across the pond in 1946 and campaigned for the World 4-liter class championship, ending up second to an American boat. It was owned by Charles Wheaton, known as simply Chuck Wheaton, or Chaz Wheaton, as he would like to be called. It was an original Ventnor-style hydroplane, the first one that was built by Manette Shields here in Bracebridge. And it is in pristine condition, and it is also on the floor at the Canadian Raceboat Hall of Fame. So some of Muskoka's glory is all there on the Raceboat Hall of Fame, and it's a history that all of us need to be proud of and to celebrate. Miss Canada 2, Little Miss Canada 2 from 1934, Rainbow 4 from 1925, Little Miss Canada 4 from 1935, and of course, the undefeated world champion in the unlimited class, that is Miss Super Test 3, who in 3 years consecutively beat the world's best in 1959, 1960, and 1961. So she is there. There's another boat there that is remarkable too, although it is, quote, not a Canadian-built boat. It was owned and driven by a remarkable Canadian by the name of Guy Lombardo. He drove it, he owned it, he designed it, and it is Tempo 5, and it is also a World Championship unlimited hydroplane boat. So that alone, those are our permanent exhibits, but this year we have two extraordinary exhibits down at the Raceboat Hall of Fame. First of all, a salute to what we call fast glass. Boats originally were all hand-built out of wood, and as such, racing was a rich man's game because it costs a lot of money to have a boat designed and built exclusively out of wood by Gravets, by Manette Shields, by Ditchburn, people like that. But in the late 1950s, emerging on the scene was a new material called fiberglass. And fiberglass revolutionized boating as we know. Now, wooden boats are an historical artifact to be preserved at all costs. But racing soon moved into the fiberglass constructed hulls as well. What's the advantage of fiberglass? Well, I was talking to one of the very first people who built a fiberglass racing boat. I used to build wooden racing boats. He asked me, how long does it take to build a wooden racing boat? And I said, well, Tom Bain, I think, if I really work at it, 80 to 100 hours, I can have a boat ready to paint up and get ready to going. He looked at me saying, Harry, he said, in 8 hours, I can have a boat out of the mold and ready to go. And not only that, Harry Wilson, it will cost about a tenth of what it costs to build your boat out of wood. So today we have an exhibit called the Fast Glass exhibit. We have boats right back to the 1960s and 70s, right up to the extraordinary race boats that are running today all around the world. They started off as V-bottom boats, and you'll see some of those V-bottom classic boats running here today in a class called the T850s. Some of those boats are from 1970, 1980. They are Critchfields. They are boats that are made by, of course, everybody knows the name Checkmate. And you'll see these boats out in the water today running OMC 3-cylinder 70 horsepower engines. And they will run upwards of 70 miles an hour, and they are exciting to watch. We will also see another vintage class called the B Canadian class. These are running Mercury 20H engines, which were manufactured originally in the early 1950s, 1952, 1953, and they ran competitively across North America and over in Europe for over 50 years. And today we have a vintage race of the B Canadian Classic 20H class. These are extraordinary engines. They're my favorite. They bounce, they buzz, they go very fast. They're exciting to watch, and you certainly won't forget them once you see and hear them. So that's just three of the classes that you'll see today. You'll see the J Junior Stock Hydroplane class. You'll see the T850 Vintage V-Bottom class, and you'll certainly see the B Canadian Classics. Included also in today are modern equivalent races. You'll see some modified engines. You'll see 4-cylinder Mercuries with open exhaust stacks. You'll never forget the sound of those either. And today we are also racing engines from across the pond. Yamatos from Japan, as well as Mercuries still built here in Canada and the United States, and also as well some other manufacturers you will recognize when you go out in the water. So we'll be talking about that as well. And we have everybody from age 9 years of age up into the 70s driving race boats today. These are family events. These are family teams, and they are here to educate, to entertain, and certainly to have a good time themselves. We're waiting now just for the referees and the race officials to get into position. We're looking at approximately 15 minutes before we're into the program. So I'm waiting for the likes of our referees. I want to acknowledge right now all the ladies who are going to be manning the booths and doing the timing, as well as having lady drivers, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But Vicky Muir and her team of people, including Sarah Colson, referee for the day, will be down here and orchestrating things from the run. As I said, we are highly disciplined. We run safety first. All these boats are inspected before they go out in the water, and when they come in, they are inspected again. Drivers must wear completely safe, 100% approved and certified race helmets, the race jackets. They are made out of ballistic nylon, so they cannot be cut. We have a dedicated ambulance on site. We hope we never use them, but we will not operate without them. We have dedicated drivers, rescue personnel out in the water, and we acknowledge all of those people, because without having the support of those people, we simply cannot run, because we want everybody to go home happy and healthy. At this point, I'd like to bring in Andre. I've introduced you 3 times, finally. Now, did you have a microphone yet? Oh, my goodness. Somebody didn't even hand you a mic. You got to train those young guys of yours, Andre. This is Andre. We've done it many, many years, and I think the mic is going to be live in your hand. Andre, we met here a few years ago doing this nonsense.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I am doing well, and it's great to see you and your team here today. This is fabulous.
Yeah, we've come to Muskoka to live stream one of our favorite races. We love vintage racing in Canada. It's a family affair. It's part of our heritage. Mr. Wilson is also a very famous...
famous. That's the first time.
You laugh. Mr. Wilson is a famous announcer, but also has an extensive knowledge of motorsports, and it's just an honor to be here with you, Harry.
Well, you've made our day complete, and the fact that more and more people are going to be exposed to this incredible sport, thanks to Bonsai Productions, thanks to Andre, thanks to the guys that are all working here. It was amazing. I walked in today, and there were 3 guys that are saying, "Where do you want the sound system set up?" Well, I'd never seen that before. This is great. So I thank them as well for working here, and I hope they enjoy the day. We know we're going to have a great time, and I want to mention again the fact that, Andre, when on the water today, we're not just going to see guys. We have lady drivers who are making their mark.
Absolutely. Most of the up-and-coming families here are women drivers, and hats off to all our racers. We need more lady drivers and racers in Canada, and they definitely hold their own.
In fact, and they're not only holding their own, they're beating some of the world's best. And I noticed this, and some of the girls will see Hannah Muir, who is coming back to the water today. She got a fresh engine. Tiffany Abel, 4 generations of racing Abels. And Tiffany is a reigning national champion in the AX Hydro class, which we'll talk about later. It's unbelievable.
Tammy Everett. There's so many names to mention, and it's just great to see the ladies, showing the boys how to do it.
And you didn't know I was doing a model show today, but I'm wearing a Tammy Wolf racing T-shirt. Tammy Wolf raced in the F1 World Championships across the pond. She's the daughter of a very famous man by the name of Fred Wolf, who was the national service manager for Mercury Marine and also their international racing representative. So we saw Tammy Wolf last night. She said, "I'll only be able to come to the barbecue for 15 or 20 minutes, Andre." And you know what? She was the last one out the door at 9 o'clock. So...
Awesome dedication, awesome dedication. Harry, if I could mention our sponsors, we have Muskoka Rock sponsoring the Torc races here. We also have Smoking Birds from Bala, amazing barbecue. We're also, Bonsai live stream is here doing our thing.
And Hunter Equipment.
Absolutely, Hunter Equipment, Bracebridge Machine, Canadian Tire in Gravenhurst. A great bunch of guys.
And it is fabulous. When you walk into town here, there's excitement in the air. And even when there were people who were telling me they were checking into the hotels, oh, you're with the racers. I want to be down there tomorrow, but I have to run my business. So they're making arrangements, and a warm welcome from everybody in Gravenhurst. And I want to acknowledge Bracebridge as well with the Raceboat Hall of Fame up there. There's excitement building there. These two communities are joined at the hip.
Absolutely. Hats off to Mr. Murray Walker for that endeavor and his partner.
Jamie Smith.
Jamie Smith, yes.
You've interviewed Jamie in more than once or twice, haven't you?
And yourself as well, my friend.
Yeah, we have.
We've got to support our community, and that's what we're about here. We're not just a bunch of hooligans making noise.
No, we are not.
We're here for the betterment of our families, and this is Canadian heritage. And, we have great people all over Muskoka, and, we want to see these races continue.
You mentioned a magic word there, and that is community. And one of the things that has happened for years, especially at Hunter Equipment, last night was the first time we've hosted the welcoming barbecue at the Raceboat Hall of Fame, because last year it wasn't open at that point. But we've always met down at Hunter Equipment, and every year the racers have made large donations to a local charity. And in years past, it was the Muskoka Hospice, and we want to acknowledge that as well. So when drivers come here, Andre said, thank you for allowing us to play in your sandbox, if you will, on your waterfront, and we want to make certain we make a positive contribution to the community that welcomes us. So thank you, everyone who is here today. Thank you for welcoming us, and let the town know that you like this, and that we want to continue this 80-year tradition, Andre.
That's just incredible. 80 years of racing. And another big shout out to the town of Gravenhurst, who's made awesome work here with this new amphitheater. I don't know if we can get a shot of this during our broadcast, but the work here at Gull Lake Park has just been completed. An amazing beach to visit. Just awesome work by the Township of Gravenhurst. Thank you very much from us all.
It's a beautiful park, and this has transformed it unbelievably so. And the bandshell, this is a glorious whole piece of history as well. So we're very fortunate to be able to be here. I was talking to a couple of teams in the pits today, and they, on their own accord, they said to me, this is my favorite place to race. They weren't solicited. This was genuine. I know those people. They like going to other towns, but their favorite race place of all is Gravenhurst. So thank you, everybody, for that. All right, so I'm looking now to see what's happening down along the pits, but before we get into that, there's one more thing, and we've kind of touched on the subject a little bit. We mentioned the fact that there's the Fast Glass exhibit at the Raceboat Hall of Fame, which is a glorious thing. The other feature exhibit this year is we called it Making Waves, Breaking Barriers, the story of women in racing. And it's as fascinating. I think today I was just going very quickly looking through the pits at the drivers' meeting. I think I saw 12 ladies who were driving today. And the fact that they're not just competitive, they're beating the best. The last race, which was in Tweed, Ontario, you mentioned Tammy Everett. Her father is past world champion in the F1 class, Larry Everett. She's been getting faster and faster. She's got a game face on her. And last weekend, or 2 weekends ago in Tweed, she beat the reigning Canadian champion. Wow. And his name is Andrew Freilich, boat number 4. You got to watch him go. And Tammy flat out outdrove him for the whole race.
Congratulations, Tammy. That's epic. Andrew is a very, very, very versatile racer in all conditions. And I've been watching him for years just dominate. Great racing. And wow, this is the first time hearing of this. Great work, Tammy.
And, as soon as it was all over and Tammy pulled into the pits, the first one down to shake her hand was Rick Freilich, Andrew's father, and he shook her hand up and down. I think he liked to see his son take a humble seat for a bit. But anyway, Tammy Everett is a great, great driver on the rise. I mentioned Tiffany Abel, Hannah Muir. We have so many young ladies, and you'll get to know them. I'll introduce them as the race is going on and identify them by number. So we were looking now, as I said, we're waiting for the patrol boat operators, the personnel racing. So this is your warning for all the drivers, the security personnel, that you are to report to your posts. because the water is looking pretty darn good right now, Andre.
Absolutely. The weather is just holding off. It looks like a great day for racing. We have an amazing day for filming. We're able to control the sunlight.
And I think this is amazing. I'm not going to end up looking like a French fry, which is my segue into what's available up there, Andre. There is a open concession. We want to thank them very much. And I noticed that I posted on the, it was a cruel and unusual punishment, I think, on Andrew Freilich's part. He posted samples, pictures of what the menus are like today up there. And, you know, I'm not going to be able to get up there until the end of the day. So if you're a little bit hungry, you've got to get up there to the concession stand, which is right up there behind and adjacent to the pits. You can see it from where you are. And they will certainly take care of what you need.
The Burger Boys. The Burger Boys are here at Gull Lake.
This is a great opportunity, and we really hope that you'll enjoy it. And also one of the things that will happen, too, at the end of the day's racing, after the pits are secure, which means that all the drivers have got their boats in place and, you know, dangerous equipment like fuels, et cetera, are put aside, the gates will open, and there are members of the population who want to come in and talk to particular racers. They'd love to have you chat.
That's a beautiful opportunity for everybody to do a meet and greet and learn about vintage racing and maybe get into it. Bring the kids over, get some pictures with some boats and some of your local racers. You'd be surprised how many people are your neighbors who are racing.
That's exactly true. And somebody once said, how do you get into boat racing? Is it very expensive? To which I replied, are you raising a kid? How expensive are shoes these days? The point was that if you start them in J-Stock Hydro, you get your hands on an ONC or a Mercury, Evan Rude Johnson. You buy that, you put a restrictor plate in, it lasts them until they're 14. What pair of shoes lasts 5 years?
Absolutely none.
And then when you're done that, you pull out the restrictor plate and they go into AX Hydro, and that gets you another 3 years of racing. And then you pull out that restrictor plate and you're into A stock hydro plate. So you can literally buy a pair of, quote, racing shoes for your kid at age 8, and they'll still be racing it at 18 and 19.
But it gets better, Harry.
It does get better.
Muskoka Sea Fleas.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you forget about our favorite club in Muskoka?
I'm hoping that Chris Taylor will come here, and I got to acknowledge Chris Taylor. If any of you follow us along in Facebook, Canadian Raceboat Hall of Fame, you'll see countless examples of videos that are created by Chris Taylor out of the Muskoka Sea Fleet. And you know what, Andre? One of the things we got to talk about is if you think your kid wants to try their hand at racing, but you don't quite want to get them in a boat yet, go to the Raceboat Hall of Fame, because we have this year, courtesy of Chris Taylor, a race boat simulator on site. And the kids get into an actual race boat, they don the equipment, they press go, and all of a sudden they're racing against not just the vote that are visually in the screen around them, but it has been set up that people all over the world can jump in on this race course, and they can have a ladder of who's the fastest. And I got to tell you something. Last night, a young fellow that we'll be seeing today, his name is Tyler Stevenson, got in the race boat simulator, and he is number 2 on the ladder in the world. And that's not bad, is it?
That's beautiful, beautiful. And this is your Muskoka community paying it forward.
It is exactly that. So if you think you kids want to try this out, come to the Raceboat Hall of Fame. There's stuff there for the ladies, the women in racing exhibit. There's stuff there for every guy who's a gearhead, that's for sure. From the great antique raceboat outboard engines, we'll see some from the 1920s, right up to the awesome Rolls-Royce Griffin engine, 3,000 horsepower in Miss Super Test.
That's my favorite boat.
You're built for that, my friend. You know, I'd get thrown out like a water speed between fingers, but maybe you could wrestle that ground right to the ground. So Miss Super Test 3, the Raceboat Simulator, so many great things to go down there and see that. But today, you're going to see the real McCoy right here. You mentioned vintage race boating. We're going to have the 4-cylinder modified Mercuries. They're screamers. You're going to hear the vintage 2-cylinder B Canadian Mercury 20H. They're vintage. We're going to see engines that are available right now, brand new. So it's vintage. It's also current racing. And this is a wonderfully addictive sport.
Absolutely, for the whole family. I also want to thank our paramedics and our medical staff on duty.
Yeah, without them, we don't race.
That's absolutely true. And let's all hopefully have a nice, safe race.
Yeah, we hope we bore the daylights out of them, in terms of professional speaking. Yeah, that's what we want. But they, I was talking to the paramedics who were at the last race side, and I said, I hope you didn't bore us to death. And she said, where do we sign up for next year? So we love that, and thank you very much for them for being here. And as I said, without them, we don't race. So we thank them. And now it's time. I'm due start to see some activity happening down there. The referees are starting to get together. I'm waiting for Hannah Muir not Hannah Muir, my goodness, Vicky Muir. And we also got to acknowledge something else, too, when we're racing here. And that is, we get the kids involved in all aspects of racing. So before they get into a race boat, you're quite likely to see a young kid down here holding onto a flag. And maybe we want to talk for a split second about what the flags are, Andre.
Absolutely, absolutely. Take it away, Harry, because...
Here we go. The beauty of it is that when you're on, you can all hear us, I think, out there just fine. But you're in a race boat, you can hear nothing. And the engines are screaming at you. You've got a million things going in your head. But you can see everything. And one of the things you can see on the water are flags coming from the referees and the patrol boats. And I'll just go through what it means. We have a variety of different colored flags meaning different things at different times. And there are indicators to the drivers as to how to proceed and what to do. We have the green flag, which is what you'll be hearing us call regularly. Green flag, drivers to the course. What that means is that drivers are now free in a class to go out on the water. It's not a start yet, but they have to get onto the race course, and they have to do what they call a salute to the barge. So when they come onto the water, the referees out here in front, it's actually not a barge this time, it's a stand, but that's close enough. We're not going like this all day long, so we're not seasick. They have to come by, they have to be acknowledged by the referee that they are seen, and then they retreat onto the course, and they have 3 minutes to do that. And if they are not on the water within 3 minutes, they stay on the beach for that heat. But at 3 minutes, the green flag comes down, the white flag goes up, and right to our right here, you might be able to see it, everybody, on the shoreline, there is the back of a digital clock. And it starts immediately that the white flag goes up on a countdown from 60 to 0. What the drivers are trying to do is to congregate at the far end of the course. And they come in, and they must come in in a straight line. There can be no zigzagging because we're taking care of each other. These are our brothers and sisters, sometimes our mothers and fathers that are out there racing with us. And they must proceed to the start line in a straight line at an even speed. The idea, Andre, of course, is to hit that straight line, the imaginary straight line, at the starting line here, wide open. And Andre just gave me the hand signal. It isn't about the boat being down in the water. It's about being up on the air and floating. These are hydroplanes today that you'll see mostly. And they trap air under the hull, and they literally become airborne. So down the straightaway, you'll be able to see right under the entire length of the boat. And the drivers are constantly trying to balance that boat on that cushion of air. When they get into a corner, they'll slam it down, they'll hook hard to go through the corner, then they'll pop in the back of the boat, and up they come. And these boats today, we'll see boats running upwards of 90 miles an hour.
It's incredible. It's incredible. These athletes, they're so strong. And I mean, the dexterity, the reaction times, everything has to be, right on point in order to keep control of these.
You said a magic word, and I so seldom think of that, but you said it. Athletes. They are athletes. I played hockey for more than 1 or 2 years. I was a silly goaltender, and I can remember coming out of tournaments and at the end of a game and I'd be exhausted. But I have never been as exhausted as I have been coming out of a powerboat race. And they're only last for 4 or 5 minutes before the heat is over. But in those 4 or 5 minutes, I think sometimes I remembered to breathe, but not often. So the green flag is call of the course. The white flag is the 1 minute counter. If we have a boat go dead in the water, we'll put up a yellow flag, which is a cautionary to the other drivers in the middle of the race that a boat is dead in the water. This race can still go on, but it's a caution. Keep your eye open. Give them racing room. We have a red flag, which if we have a bad incident in the race, and sometimes boats do go upside down, particularly in corners, the referees will make an instantaneous decision whether it's safe to continue racing or to call the race. And at that point, if they call the race, a red flag goes up. And the last flag you'll see today, well, second last flag, is a black flag, which means return to pit. But when someone is victorious, the checker flag goes up. So the flags again. Green means 3 minutes to the start of the race. White flag, 1 minute to the start. Yellow, driver on the water, dead. Red, stop the race. Black, return to pits. Checkered flag, start smiling because you're the winner.
A couple of things I wanted to touch on, Harry. I don't know if you touched on it earlier. These drivers are racing on their knees. Is that correct?
Most of them are.
Excellent. Okay. So that is in itself a huge, formidable task to keep your balance. And another thing is that's so exciting about these boats is they have a downrigger. What's it?
It's a big fin on the left-hand sponson
that they pull in the corner to be able to torque around that corner with unbelievable traction.
Yeah, once the hydroplane starts going in a straight direction, they don't want to turn. So you have to have something in the water that says, okay, we're going to hook on you. And they will. That's why I talked about the drivers getting off the bubble of air for a split second and then straight away. That fin comes down to the water. They're in it. They turn around. And as soon as they come back out of the corner, they do what is important, and that is they get that boat up on plane. And the advantage of being on your knees is you can slide forward up and down that cockpit, and you're like adjustable ballast.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, and you can get beaten up a lot in that, I'm telling you. And you don't want to run at the back of the pack. You want to run up where the water's clean. So the race start is really important, and the first corner usually tells you a lot, but never give up on it. There are people who come up from the back, and they just keep picking people off, just like the Kentucky Derby.
Just amazing, just amazing. I'm so proud to be here with my corporation and, supporting the local community of Muskoka.
This is great, and we want to thank Bonsai again. I know you have a job to do, Andre. At some point, we may just put the hook on you and drag you back out here again. But we're going to be racing very, very soon. And I see one of the boats, the first boat is in the water, and that is probably because they want to just get some heat into the engine. And there you have the green flag for the first heat. That is, we're getting ready to go, so it's time for you and me to get out of here and go and do our job.
Let's go racing.
Power. Thank you, buddy.
Dave,
Thank
bro,
you.
I love you, Gary.
As I'm heading out now, one of the things I can tell you that what is happening right now is one boat is being sent out to test the conditions on the water. This is the referee saying we have to make certain the conditions are appropriate. So this is the warm-up, if you will, just like a hockey game. What can we do on that straightaway? And I'm looking at it right now, and that boat is flying down the back straightaway. There's no problem with the speed there. No problem with the speed. Setting down, coming into the corner. The referee will then communicate with that driver once the driver has done a lap or two, and will determine at that point whether it looks like go or whether we have to wait for a subsiding of the wind. That boat we talked about being out of the water and a cushion of air. You can see right on the entire length of that boat. Just want to make certain everybody can still hear me. Yep, the system's working. You'll watch going up the straight. The drivers will typically climb up closer to the front. That's to try to keep the boat nose at a proper riding level. When they're going downwind, as they are right now, the driver will typically slide to the back of the boat, pull hard on the steering wheel, and what they do is called pop the sponsons. They'll try to literally yank on that steering wheel to pop the sponsons to get them out of the water so that the air is then, once again, underneath that boat. And you can see this is a 20 SS Hydro. This is running a Yamato engine made in Japan. And right now, our test driver is just taking it out there to see what it's like. And I think the driver has made a decision. Checking it out one more time, may do a third lap. Maybe just trying to assess everything from a viewpoint. That's Rob up there, isn't it? That's Rob out there, isn't it? That's Gary Fraser. Oh, it's Gary Fraser? Out there in the water right now, this is Gary Fraser. one of our drivers, seasoned, experienced driver. And Gary is coming into the pits now, and he will make a report to the drivers rep what the water conditions are like. Beautiful boat. Gary Fraser's right there. Of course, we have to make certain that the conditions are safe. And one of the advantages is not just the water conditions. Gary Fraser, when he goes out, will have been checking to see how the turn buoys are lined up, making certain that there are no dog legs or anything in them. You want drivers to be able to set up for a corner and proceed smoothly around through the corner. So Gary Fraser now will have to meet with the referees and make a determination, set up whatever confidences that need to be communicated to the drivers and the teams. But Gary Fraser certainly was not lacking any speed there. He's obviously talking right now to some people. Rob Dixon on shore there, gathering all the information as Gary's talking about where it is like, and he's talking with the hand, talking about the sweep coming through the corner. Rob Dixon is national champion in many classes for any number of years. He's probably one of the most successful, experienced, and hard-driving drivers there is. And he respects Gary Fraser to a huge degree. I think I'm seeing also that our referee is listening in on the conversation. That's Sarah Colson over there, wearing the blue shirt. It's the referee's final decision on everything on race day. We have referees, we have judges, we have turn judges. But on the ice, the head referee calls the penalties, calls the plays, and the same thing here in the Canadian Boating Federation and in our powerboat races. So that was just our demonstration for a few minutes. We'll let the referees and the personnel all get in their heads together, and we'll be back shortly. Right now, I want to again remind you that the concession stand is open. It'll take a few minutes for them to make the final determination, get people in places, and then we'll be back to you as soon as we can. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard was a classic B Canadian 20H Mercury engine firing up. That Mercury engine, built in 1950s, is one of the stars of our show, and it's warming up. And here's my segue, because I'm the bearer of bad tidings. The referee has determined that the race course is not safe for today. There are huge holes at the top of the course, and they have decided that for the safety of everyone, they are going to hold off the racing until tomorrow. We apologize. There are some things we cannot control. We are deeply apologetic for the fact we get you all excited, just like I am, and then we can't go boat racing. But I think what will happen is that tomorrow boat racing will try to put in 2 days of racing in one, and the weather is supposed to be better. So keep your fingers crossed. We apologize. We thank you very much for your support. We appreciate your understanding, and we will be back here tomorrow. My name is Harry Wilson. I'm your commentator for today and for tomorrow, and we ask you all to think calm weather thoughts tonight. Thank you very much, and we'll see you. And then, by the way, if you are interested in walking by around the pits, I'm sure drivers who are as disappointed as they can be will be glad to talk to you. So if you want to go up near pit area, you can probably get in and see some of these boats and motors up close. Thank you very much, and we bring back everybody tomorrow. It'll be a lot better, guaranteed.